Linford Christie, he's not watching the high jump, but we saw there one of the great competitors in the world today. That was a competitive response to what was a very, very tight situation.
Almost the Ed Moses of women's high jumping, Kostadinova, until this season. Linford Christie, as David Coleman was saying, paying a tribute to his coach Ron Rodden, who's, I suppose, for the last 25 years been churning out great sprinters at Thames Valley Harriers, great club men, terrific club relay teams, and he had an eyeball with Linford Christie about 4 years ago and said, look, you're either going to take this game seriously. You've got too much talent to waste. You want to be at the top, or if not, chuck it in. And that confrontation led to a change of life in Linford Christie. Linford Christie decided from then on he was going to concentrate and he was going to develop. And my word, it's paid dividends, because he's quite a late developer, is Christie. It's something that he's just beginning to appreciate, and he's just beginning to develop.
Well, Lynn is 27. But Alan Wells, of course, was a late developer, but we're actually finding British sprinters. It used to be a very weak event for Britain. Peter Radford was the trailblazer in modern times, when in this very stadium he got the bronze medal behind Armin Harry in 1960. Fortunately, when one sees the replay of that race, he gets the reputation as a bad starter. In fact, he was a good starter, but Harry got such a good one in the final. Well, there's the full lineup. Brizgin of the Soviet Union, Pavoni, Italy, Stewart, Jamaica, Kovac, Hungary, Ben Johnson, Canada, Carl Lewis, America, Lee McRae, America, Linford Christie, Great Britain.
David, do you think Carl Lewis has had that tracksuit specially tailored?
He always gives that impression. But he's certainly been tailored for this final. No question about it. And he's going for 3 gold medals here this time. Ben Johnson, look at him with his splay-footed action. Even jogging down the track, he doesn't look the part. But once he starts going, once he gets off those blocks, he breaks all the coaching theories, in fact. Off the start, he almost stands up. He comes upright immediately. The old theory used to be that you came up very low and kept low as long as you could. But Ben Johnson, nobody can complain about his starting. He's one of the best starters I've ever seen. And so much can depend in this final on the start. He could run Lewis ragged off the blocks. But in Lewis's mind, and we all know this because we've talked to him and his entourage, in Lewis's mind is that he's the better athlete in the closing stages. And whether he'll panic off the blocks, we'll have to wait and see if Johnson gets a really good one.
Yes, you write the coaching manual about the fellow on the left. The fellow on the right, you give him a lot of money to tuck an American football under one arm and use that impressive power.
Linford Christie, meanwhile, separated by Lee McRae from the big two, Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis. Lynn Christie, well, he says, I've learned a lot from Ben Johnson. I've got to know him well. Lewis is different. He's the man I most want to beat. And he says, well, I haven't got to know him well. So, about 2 minutes to go. The World Championship final. Lynn, European Cup double gold medalist in Prague recently when he won both the 100 and the 200 meters. And he said, I found it surprisingly easy. The athletes being introduced to a crowd really anticipating this event as something quite extraordinary. We've got the top 3 men in the world, but don't forget, some of the others are finding form extremely well. But on the way through, the man in form has really been Carl Lewis. But now is the only time that matters. We'll go across the line. Brizgin of the Soviet Union on the far side. Pavoni of Italy in lane 2. Ray Stewart, Jamaica in 3. Kovac in the black and white of Hungary in lane 4. Ben Johnson in the red of Canada in lane 5. Carl Lewis, the world champion, the Olympic champion, He runs in lane 6, defending his title. Lee McRae next to him, another American. And lane 8, Linford Christie, the British record holder. Double gold medalist in the European Cup final, European champion at 100 metres, European indoor champion last year at 200 metres. This crowd's starting to quiet. The final of the World Championship 100 metres. Ben Johnson, currently the world #1 in red. Carl Lewis, the world champion in blue. Right to left, Bridgen, Pavoni, Stewart, Kovac, Johnson, Lewis, McRae and Christie. Christie nearest the camera for Great Britain. The man who said, "I have to train to satisfy my own curiosity." You'll find out. Away they go. Johnson got a beauty, and Linford Christie went well. McRae going well, but Johnson's away and clear. It's Johnson, Lewis and Christie, and Johnson storms home to win. In second place was Lewis, Stewart in third place, and Christie in fourth place, and the world record smashed out of sight. Absolutely gone. The wind following .95. And that is the world record smashed beyond belief. 9.84. And he didn't just beat Lewis, he absolutely crucified him. And Christie got away reasonably well alongside McRae, but could never get near them. Lynn Christie walks away without a medal in fourth place, because I reckon Ray Stewart was third, but Christie just could not get to them. And that was the most electrifying start I've seen in 1960. He said when he got the lead from the slow street of House and the gun smoke in the background. Well, that showed he hadn't. But Lewis now knows who's the man. Lewis, he's looking across at Ben Johnson and saying, that is unbelievable. Now, whether he's suggesting Johnson got a false start or not, I don't know. But we are talking about Johnson, the man who actually was shown on the computer readout to get the perfect start in the World Indoor Championships in Indianapolis, and was penalised for it, and then they had to look at the computer, and he got it right. Lewis is shaking his head in total bewilderment, because there he was buried right from the start.
Well, not only did Ben Johnson answer all the questions, but the question on Carl Lewis's mind now may be about the start, but in fairness to him, he went straight across to follow Johnson around the track, and I believe that was to congratulate him on that incredible world record. Johnson was wrapped up in the crowd. He didn't snub Lewis, but Lewis tried to get to him, and he may have thought that Johnson was turning his back on him. Johnson was taking the plaudits of the crowd, but Lewis did follow him around the track to try and greet him on that. It was a magnificent sprint.
We can see that sprint, but what a start. And just watch Johnson. Just watch Johnson. In the all red. He's lost Lewis totally in the first three strides. And Linford Christie on the near side didn't get a bad start alongside Lee McRae. But Johnson made them all pedestrian. Lewis gets into his running, never into the race. Christie beats Lee McRae, probably thinks he's got the bronze medal. Can't see Ray Stewart on the far side in the yellow, who gets third place. But look at Johnson. He's being caught, but not by very much. Lewis second, Stewart third, Christie fourth.
And I have to say, looking at that slow motion, David, that Lewis may be right to ask the question. That was such an electrifying start that Johnson got, that in the slow motion there was the gravest danger that he did beat the gun.
The problem is we can't actually see the gun fire, but they've got a computer readout. We'll find out. But Johnson, we've already know, can actually beat eyesight off the blocks. He did it in the World Indoor Championships, and tonight, well, look at that. He's so quickly into his running. His first three strides are so staccato, much shorter than Lewis is. Lewis, with that longer stride, just cannot get to him. Now, it is said that Johnson, and it was his weakness, it was a weakness he talked about, you know, struggled in the last 80 metres. But the race was all over by then. And although Lewis may have caught him fractionally in that period, Johnson did exactly what Johnson has said he would do for the last month. He's not only beaten Lewis, but he's done what he wanted to do as well. He smashed the world record, something he genuinely believed he could do.
And he beat Carl Lewis by the margin that he beat him at the start. And if I watch that again, I've got to say there's a question mark in my mind about whether that was ahead of the gun or with the gun. It was certainly the fastest start we've ever seen. Here's 29.
The whole stadium still buzzing with that 100 metres. Did Johnson beat the gun or not? You cannot tell from a slow motion replay because you cannot relate it to the gun. But it will be measured on computer printouts, which we try to get a copy of, but they do take time. Watch Johnson in the all red. That has got to be, if it's legal, one of the greatest starts in history.
The greatest for my money. And I don't wish to detract anything from Johnson. It was a magnificent start, whatever it was. But Lewis must have felt that anyone in the world that can jump him by 1.5 meters in the first 5 has some unique properties that he doesn't know about. Now watch him close the gap down, because it's still an astonishing sprint by Carl Lewis. Ray Stewart coming up, and Christie having a good run for the line. That's a good run. It really is, and he must have been dejected from the gun.
Well, the results coming up, and Johnson is the world champion with a new world record time, 9.83. The first man inside a 9.9 in history. Carl Lewis in second place, 9.93, which I think, from memory, equals the old world record, which was set at altitude. Ray Stewart, 10.08. Christie, probably, well, perturbed by the way that he got away. He beat the man alongside him, McRae, but clearly must have felt that Johnson had put him under too much pressure there. 10.14 in fourth place, just outside the medals. Well, there we are, Ben Johnson, centre frame, winning the World Championship, new world record, and talking now to Kevin Cosgrove.
Ben, as far as you were concerned, the result was never in doubt, was it?
Well, I feel pretty good all around.
Did you think you'd break the world record?
Well, I've been running very great all season long, and I know somewhere down the line it has to come, and this is the place to do it, because it was getting late in the season. I know I was ready to peak, and I just, you know, shared hard in the final.
Were you happy with your start? Because that's always been the thing which is in your favour, isn't it?
I came in so hard I almost ended up his lane, and I came back in the middle and started to move ahead. And from there on, I know it was all over, because there's no way you're going to come back 2 meters.
Once you get a good start, as far as you're concerned, that's it.
That's it.
Ben, thanks very much. You did a tremendous run.
And I've got some news for Ben Johnson. I don't know if you can hear with Kevin Cosgrove down there, but we've got a new time for him, and it's even faster. 9.83 seconds. The wind is legal, below 1 meter following. Perfect conditions. 9.83 seconds in an event where they're shaving hundredths of a second off the world record. He has smashed it by 1/10 of a second. That may not sound very much, but in sprinting terms, it's an enormous gap. Carl Lewis in second place did equal the old world record, which was set at altitude and set by Calvin Smith, 9.93. Stewart in third place, 10.08. Christie fourth, 10.14. That's the result of the women's 100 metres, but now let's go back to the men's 100 metres. There's Carl Lewis. He finished second, but equal the old world record at 9.93. But Ben Johnson clocked now officially 9.83, a 10th off the world record. Carl is with Kevin Cosgrove.
Carl, after the way you ran in the heats, were you surprised at being beaten like that?
Well, more so for the reason that I just didn't do what I had to do out of the blocks. Ben had an unbelievable reaction time, and I just didn't come up and run like I was supposed to out of the blocks. and I made a mistake, and Ben is a great runner, and he set a world record and ran a great race.
And you equaled the old world record.
Well, I'm pleased about that because that's a personal best, my fastest time I've ever run. But I'm looking forward to faster times, better races, and I know they'll come.
Are you looking forward to meeting Johnson again?
Well, the race will come. He won today. He was the best today. He ran a great race, and he deserved to win today. He ran the time. But my main thing is to get ready for that long jump because I do have that, and I have a rest for it. And I guess I've proven I'm in great shape.
Well, you're three-time champion last time. Now you've got the opportunity to be two-time champion, and the long jump is coming up. Are you confident about that?
Well, I'm very confident. I'm pleased for two reasons. Number one, Ben ran a great race today and won the 100, but I think I've more than proved that I'm back and ready to run and be the best again. And that I feel I have an opportunity to prove in the long jump.
Thanks very much indeed, Carl.
Thank you. All right.
Satellite at the finish up, but now of 8 field. A new record by Ben Johnson in the 100 metres, being led out by Carl Lewis, who was the world champion 4 years ago. He's the silver medalist this time. Ben Johnson in the centre position in the all green, and Ray Stewart of Jamaica with the bronze medal. And the gold medal is to be presented by Primo Nebbiolo, the president of the International Amateur Athletic Federation, who of course is an Italian.
First and world champion, premier et champion du monde, Ben Johnson, Canada.
The gold medal, the World Championship, and a new world record. 9.83 seconds, an incredible 1/10 of a second off the old record. And when you're dealing in fractions, in an event as short as this is one of the truly great performances in track and field history.
Second and silver medalist, deuxième et médaille d'argent, Carl Lewis, Estados Unidos de América.
The old champion steps forward. An ex-champion in the 100 metres now, a time today of 9.93, and no man has ever run faster than Carl Lewis at sea level, apart from Ben Johnson. That equals the old world record that was set at altitude.
Raymond Stewart, Jamaica.
Ray Stewart, a popular winner of the bronze, 10.08. The Jamaican. And in fourth place, Linford Christie of Great Britain.
Sun going down in Rome at the end of an historic day. David Coleman, we certainly have enjoyed it. What about Ben Johnson? 9.83.
That was amazing. We were expecting a great race, and we got a great demonstration. To win was fantastic. To break the world record was marvellous, but to break it by 1/10 of a second, that's destroying it. And I've never seen anything like that, and it'll be a long time before we do again.
Sure.
Paralysed the field.
It was all about the start. It could never have been a full start, really, could it? Because it's all electronically tied up from the blocks to the starting gun, so there was no question about it, really. It was just brilliant.
Fantastic reactions, the greatest starter in the world, and now the greatest sprinter in the world.
Yeah.
Firmly established. I mean, all season he's been beating everybody, but there's always that question, will he win the world? Is Carl Lewis back to his best? Carl Lewis was back to his best, but Ben Johnson was better.
I've got plans for you for the next 9.83 seconds. Take a look at this. Carl Lewis equaling the world record and finishing well second.
Yeah, he said afterwards that he was pleased to equal the world record. It's faster than he's ever run in his life. And he was very gracious in defeat, which was good because, as I said, he was beaten by a phenomenal person.
Yeah. Where does this leave Linford?
Disappointing for him that he didn't get the bronze medal. It was still an excellent run, and the difference between bronze and fourth place was minute. It leaves him with a lot to do. He's obviously a very, very talented sprinter. He's still got the 200 metres, but more important, he's got another year to try and close the gap on the big lads at the front. But today it was Ben Johnson.
Let's look at those main two once again. Well, it was quite extraordinary. Let's have a look at the medal table for today. The Italians have done well with that gold medal in the walk today, Da Milano in the 20K walk, and 2 silver medals yesterday. Nice for the host nation to be leading that table. Britain yet to find their way onto that medal table, of course. Tomorrow there are 4 finals, 2 field events, the women's discus and the men's triple jump, and 2 on the track, the women's 400 and 800 metres. Britain's Tom McKean and Peter Elliott and Tony Morell are all in the semi-finals of the 800 metres. Tony just about creeping in there. Ed Moses, Harold Schmidt and Danny Harris go in the semi-finals of the 400 metres hurdles, and world record holder Jackie Joyner begins her bid for a gold medal in the heptathlon. So a lot to look forward to there tomorrow as well.